So have you thought about what it's going to be like for your daughter when she gets older and people are going to tease her in school?
Yeah, I hope that wouldn't happen. I don't really know what's going to happen. I know it's going to be tough for her, for me, and for Kathleen. Assuming a judge grants me the right to reunite with my daughter. It's going to be very complicated. She's still very young, but she's going to come in age 10, 15 years from now where she's going to want to know what happened on her own, and I'm her father, so I really don't, I've thought about it, I just don't know how it's going to play out, but I definitely do think every day, of course I think every day about my daughter, and how I'm going to explain this, and the kind of relationship we might have. It's just, I know nothing about her, and she knows nothing about me, so this is the heartbreaking part of this case, where people like to joke around and make fun and see me as a punchline, and I'm definitely okay with that. I'd rather people joke around than be afraid of me. But the thing that a lot of people miss is that there's a little girl out there who doesn't know who her father is, and forced to grow up in a home without her father because of how everything happened here. And I think that's beyond heartbreaking, and my family also being shut out of her life. It's very tough.
I hadn't thought about that. Your parents are deprived their grandchild.
Yeah, my parents had nothing to do with anything. My parents were great with Kathleen. Kathleen was a stay-at-home mom. That's how we wanted it. I was making enough money where she could stay home and raise a baby, and my parents were around to help out with anything she needed. And they loved that baby grandparents, right? Everyone knows grandparents just melt with the grandchildren, and they did nothing to deserve being shut out of her life like this. And it's very, very tough to forget me. People could hate me all they want. People could think I'm a piece of garbage, but my parents did nothing, and they're shut out of this child's life too. And it's very hard to deal with that.
And does your brother have children?
No, my brother doesn't have children. I was the only one who was married. My brother is the baby's godfather, though. He was at the baptism and all that.
I asked because I wonder, is that their only grandchild?
That's their only grandchild, yeah.
So how do you get along with your parents now?
We always had a good relationship. It was interesting. I said earlier, my parents, if they weren't arguing, they weren't talking at all. But when I was arrested and I was going to all these court hearings and a trial, they sat together like a happy family. So this kind of brought them together for a while, and I mean, they're just so strong. My whole family, my parents, my brother. I just can't say enough about them. I can only imagine the things they had to deal with on the outside while I was relatively shielded from everything. I was in prison, I was in solitary confinement, so that wasn't easy, but they were out here in the real world dealing with friends and coworkers, and they survived all that, and our relationship now is stronger than it's ever been, for sure. We all live this nightmare together, and we're all trying to move on.
Do you have aunts, uncles, cousins that are involved in all this?
Yeah, sure. I think going through this, a person really gets to know who his true friends and family are, and there are a lot of extended family. Not everyone reached out, but some people did, and those are the people who we kind of associate with now.
Can you talk about how your fellow police officers were during this entire ordeal?
They say now, I've talked with a lot of them since I've been out. They say now that they had my back and they never believed any of the allegations from day one, but I never received a word of that support, and neither did my family. Now, to be fair, there's a rule with police officers. They're not allowed to associate with people who are criminals or who have records, so I understand them not reaching out to me, but my father just told me this recently, so it's actually not in the book, but the day I was arrested, he didn't know what to do, had nowhere to go, so he went to the place where I used to work. He went to my precinct, and the union delegates there basically threw him out. They wouldn't help him. He wanted at least a ride to court or a ride to the subway station so he can go to court, and they said no, they wouldn't help him. So that to me is totally unforgivable. And those union delegates, as far as I'm concerned, are completely dead to me. I don't blame the rank and file guys really, but
would you ever consider a court case, mainly towards the prosecution, that they have totally ruined your name now?
Sure, there's paperwork in. I was able to retain a lawyer to help me sue the federal government for the time I lost, and even though I've been exonerated and acquitted, this is never going to leave me. It was very tough to find a job, and this is going to be something that's going to stick with me the rest of my life. You mentioned before my daughter, is she going to be teased? And this is all a result of this prosecution. You know, if I never got arrested, I don't know if Kathleen and I would have worked it out. We'll just never know, so it doesn't make sense to speculate. But what I do know is that I was wrongfully arrested and wrongfully prosecuted, so this is what we're dealing with now because of that. As far as the city, people ask all the time, well, you've been cleared now, you have no record, so can you get your job back? I'm not sure if that's realistic, but I have paperwork and to at least sue for the salary that I'm owed. And going back to the police union, even though I've been cleared now, they still won't help me with that. So it's just one of those things where people just don't want to be associated, and it's very frustrating. I had to do all that paperwork by myself.
Is that legal?
You know, I'm not a union member anymore because I was fired. After I was convicted, I was fired. But now it's shown that I shouldn't have been fired, but it's not like I can get unfired, you know? So as it stands now, I'm still not a member of the union, but I have spoken with people in the PBA or, you know, the lawyers, the law firm that they use, and they basically agree that I shouldn't have been fired, but it's still, they're not going to help me out. So it's tough. It's just another ripple effect that I continue to deal with.